I'm Russian. I'm Asian, actually.
What's the best thing about being Asian?
Honestly, the rice.
The Woody Show.
And it's another new hour. Insensitivity training for a politically correct world. Phones are open, 877-44-WOODY. You can text us over to 22987. My name's Woody. That's Greg Gorey.
Good morning, Woody.
There's Menace.
Hi.
Gina Grad.
Hi.
We got Seabass.
Yeah, boy.
There's Morgan.
Hey.
Sammy is here. Phones. Like I mentioned, text. You can do that. You can find us on social media. Look for us at The Woody Show. Still trying to get to 200,000 Instagram followers.
Really?
Yeah.
It's an ongoing thing.
Is there a blocker put on, like a limiter?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's a nah dog for me.
Well, you know what it is?
Instagram said, nah.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's like we'll have like a really good day, and then the next day will be like a bunch of people unfollowing, which you have. There's always that ebb and flow.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this. Give me 1 second. Pulling up to see exactly how many we need at this point.
All right.
Is it
All right.
unfollowing, or are they just kicking people off the platform? Because, like, I don't unfollow.
Well,
It's probably unfollowing.
either one. Or
Yeah, like accounts that haven't been used in years, they clear them out.
Right, because I don't find myself unfollowing people very often.
Yeah,
at all.
No.
same.
All right, so we need 785.
Okay.
We need 785.
We got
We don't have
Instagram
enough people listening to the
followers.
show for that.
Oh, babe.
Take like 2 years.
But the
maybe.
people who are on there are already following us.
Yeah.
So if you're not following us on Instagram yet, please do that. Today is National Ex-Spouse Day.
Oh.
And because
they get a day?
because all of us have not been married before,
Right.
To say ex-spouse, we're just turning it into just your ex.
Yeah.
Like long-term, like if you were in a long-term relationship,
I
you're,
think half the show has been divorced, right?
I
think so.
High divorce rate in here.
What do you mean?
1, 2,
Yeah.
Well,
3,
I
Morgan.
have, yeah.
That counts.
Hey, I'm
See?
proud of it.
But that was like a shell thing, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
true. But technically, I've been married and divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Four
Yeah,
people, right?
Greg was married to a woman.
divorced.
Ew.
Divorced.
Yeah.
I was married once before. You weren't.
Sammy?
married. You weren't.
No, I
married.
wasn't.
Sammy's been
Yeah.
divorced. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Sammy's
right. I always forget about
divorced.
That's 4.
Okay, that's
Pretty
a good
high
amount.
batting average
Yeah.
for one show.
Yeah, or at least now. Were you engaged previously?
No, never.
You were never engaged.
I dodged 2 proposals. So
You said no?
yeah.
Oh, wow. Twice. That's
I just
crazy.
knew it wasn't the one.
That's good.
Yeah. So no.
Okay.
So when you turn down a proposal, I take it that just means immediate breakup, right?
One yes, one no.
So he asked, you
One,
said
I
no,
let-
and then
I
you
mean,
stayed together.
One was like, well, here. I mean, I kind of like soft pedaled it, so it wasn't like no. I was like, I just don't know if we're ready for that, but I'm loving this relationship is top notch.
Yeah.
So
That was a lie.
yeah, that's true. Because if it was, we'd be engaged and married. Yeah. So I was just waiting from a little
Yeah.
Andy.
So how did it go? Did we ever get the story with you, Greg, about when like you came out?
Mhm.
So what happened first? Did she?
We
did-
were
did you-
separated already.
So that okay. So before
Yeah.
you came out, then you guys had already broken up.
Yes.
Divorced.
Right. And we were living apart. And then
So what was? I mean, obviously because you're gay, but at
Well,
that
yeah,
point
but-
because she didn't know. So what was talked about as being the reason for the breakup? Because you guys were married for how long?
8 years.
8 years.
Wow.
There was a number of factors. So many factors that I don't even want to get into. But it was going to go down that road anyway.
So it wasn't a surprise, and you weren't like making up other stuff just because you knew you were gay and you're coming out. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I've always said it would have ended in divorce either way.
Anyway.
It was it just got so, it devolved into arguing and disagreements and
Yeah.
everything. It was just really ugly. And then we got separated. During the separation, we did, I guess there's safety in numbers, or when you're with somebody else, it's easier to talk about certain things. We went to marriage counseling, and on the first 5 minutes of the session, the counselor asked, "What is it that you want from this counseling?" And she said her answer, and then she said, "And Greg, what about you?" I said, "I want a divorce."
Nice.
So-
Wow. Way to be honest.
Because
Save
I
a lot
thought,
of
like,
money.
you know what? Why go through
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
So it was bad. And
And
then
you were like, yes.
and then we separated, and then I filed while she was out of town.
Wow.
And then how much longer until she found out that you were gay?
Probably within a couple months, I would say.
Oh,
Did it
okay.
shock her?
No,
Okay.
not really.
Yeah, because every time she was naked, he's like, ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
Icky
Put your
poo.
clothes on.
Bitch.
No, it
Where's
wasn't
the
like
penis?
that.
Now, did you make it like, I don't know, kind of quickly after to soften the blow to make her feel better? Where
To say that I wanted a divorce?
That you were gay, that you came.
No, it took me a while to get the courage up. That was the hardest part. Once I told her, the rest was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine was just two different people by the time we got divorced. We got
Well, you were
married
so
super young. Yeah.
How old were you?
I got married at 23. Same thing. We were together for 8 years, married for 5. And it just, when you are, and that's why I discourage anybody in your 20s really from getting married.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till you're 30.
Yeah.
I mean, but women kind of have a clock running, though.
Dude, they're women
still 30.
pumping out
No,
babies at
dude.
50 now. Like,
I was just reading about what's her name from $1 Million Baby. What's her name?
Hilary Swank?
Yeah, she had a baby at 48.
It's just,
Yeah.
again, fun to go to high school graduation when you're 68. But
no, but I'm saying, like, 30 is not old.
Then why do they call it a geriatric pregnancy when you're 35?
Well, also, why is somebody who's obviously very skinny have a BMI that's considered, quote, obese? Like,
Fatty liver disease.
the numbers just don't jive
I'm with
sometimes.
you.
very
Well,
rare occasion.
Also, we talk about this, like, I don't know, times have changed where, when people were in their 40s, they had over the hill parties and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's
for
so
sure.
over.
Yeah, I just think,
happening anymore.
Life was over at 40.
from my
Yeah.
experience and from watching others, like, everybody changes so much in their 20s.
Yeah.
That's the decade that you're figuring things out.
Absolutely.
You're figuring out what you want to do with your life, professionally, personally. Maybe that's where you do some traveling. You figure out where you end up wanting to settle down and like what area that you want to be in, and all that. And then just as a person, you change so much. So while my ex-wife and I got along great, and there was no cheating, there was no big, drama or whatever. It was just, man, these are just two different people, and like Greg and his ex-wife just arguing a bunch. It was annoying living that way. And so I figured, like, you know what? This is a good time because I don't want to waste any more of her time. I don't want to waste any more of my time when I can clearly see that it's not.
So you brought it up?
Oh, yeah. Did I tell you about that?
Well, not
I don't
really.
remember.
Right? You didn't really bring it up. I remember the story. At least this is what I heard. When you gave her a Valentine's Day card or something like that.
Yes, and she read into it.
It was so generic, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Is there
Best.
an issue?"
Your pal Woody.
Yeah,
She figured it
So she
out.
saw it coming.
yeah.
So we had gone as a show, I'd gone to Los Angeles to do a broadcast from the Grammys. And while I was gone, I used that time to really do some thinking. And I mean, I was thinking things out big time. I was writing things down on a piece of paper and like pros and cons and all kinds of stuff.
List,
Yeah, I was really agonizing over the whole thing. And then, it really kind of like, once I said to myself, this is the right thing.
Yeah.
Then I was solid in my decision. But Valentine's Day was coming up when we got back from the trip.
Ugh.
So I had to go and buy a Valentine's Day card. But man, it's tough because a lot of them are like, I'm going to grow old with you.
Yeah, my soulmate.
I can't even lie through a card. So I felt bad, so I had to find a card that would, and I wrote something nice in there, and I left it for her because she was leaving I got home late that night. I left it out because the next morning was Valentine's Day. She read it, and then she woke me up, and she goes, well, what is this? I go, what is what? She goes, the card. I'm like, it's a Valentine's Day card. She goes, what? I don't understand. Like, are we getting divorced?
What?
Yeah.
How bad? What did you write?
Nothing. But it was so. But
What
she-
up, buddy?
No, she
Have a nice
knew.
summer.
Pal.
Here's the thing. She
dude.
knew.
Hacks.
Wow.
Here's the thing. She knew that we were going through
Yeah.
whatever, and she knew that if that she knew me,
Yeah.
and so that card, she knew me
That
very
was one
well.
foot out the
Yeah.
door.
Yeah, and so she knew, and so I was like, I don't want to have this conversation right now. So we ended up having the conversation right now, and she's upset. I'm upset. She wanted to go see her mom, who lived in Oregon. We were living in Chicago at the time. So I booked her a flight
One way.
to Portland.
Bye, bitch.
I booked her a flight to Portland that morning. I said, here, just go see your mom. I said, I'm going to go to work. I said, then, you just go see your mom, and whenever you decide, we'll figure it all out. It's all amicable, right?
Yeah.
That was the last time I saw her.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was
How
that
does
morning.
That even work?
Wow.
Because she went to Oregon,
Lucky.
and then
know. How easy.
everything else was done like remote. She never came back.
To get her stuff or anything?
I sent it. I told her she could have anything in the house. I'll give you anything here. I'll ship it all out to you. Whatever, it's fine.
That's crazy.
You think she was just heartbroken, devastated? Like,
What is she coming back for? To go back to work?
yeah, true.
Well-
And just to, there's no reason for her to come back. I could just send whatever she needed. There was no reason for her to come back.
So this ended on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's when the cat was out of the
Romantic.
bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the last, and I have not seen her since.
Wow, that's crazy.
We spoke after that. Obviously, even after the divorce became final, like we talked.
Are you like Facebook friends?
I don't have Facebook,
Oh.
but no, we're not. Like she's still friends with a couple of people, like Mike the Show Killer.
Oh yeah.
I think
Of
they,
course.
I think
Forgot
they
about
still communicate. Well, because Mike's always been one of my best friends, and
Right.
you know she
He's
got
a-
along with him, and
Yeah,
he
he's
got
a
along with
social
her.
butterfly.
Yeah, and so it's fine. There was no bad thing. Nobody had to pick sides.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it was really
Rare.
weird. Yeah, and so I was like, look, the only thing and it sounds so cliche. All I really wanted was just leave me the recliner chair.
Leave me the lazy boy.
Because it wasn't part of the set. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Just leave me the recliner chair and then the TV and obviously, you know, my stuff. You can have anything else. And I sent pretty much almost everything. I sent almost everything to
It
her.
wasn't 100% clean though. You had to pay how long did you have to pay alimony for? I remember when I met you, you were still paying.
Yeah, I
We're married
forget.
for 5 years.
Yeah, I had to pay her.
2.5 years.
Yeah, I think three or 4 years,
Oh wow.
Damn, son.
Lucky.
something like that.
How do I
me-
get that?
Leave Me the Lazy Boy sounds like a total bro country breakup song.
Well, because I don't.
Oh, yeah,
I
it
don't, I
does.
Yeah.
And the TV.
don't, Greg knows. I
We
don't need much.
No, he doesn't need much. He says he could live in a studio apartment,
I
which
could.
at this point, I don't know if you could.
I could.
Maybe.
If it was just me or just my wife and I think we could do it.
Y'all can switch houses with me.
Yeah,
if
if you want to swap,
I mean, if you
I'll
really
give it,
want to.
give it a go.
Yeah.
We
Come in
fought
my
over the
apartment.
dog.
Can I leave the kids at the house? You got to take care of
Oh,
them.
never mind.
Oh yeah, those pass.
Deal
But
off.
wait, Greg, you had to cut checks, right?
Oh, one big one. It wasn't spread out.
She took the lump sum.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
bankrupted me.
Oh
Wow.
my god.
And then I also got the house, and I sold that at a massive loss. So
So is that
it was horrific.
is that why you had to write her a check like that because that was going to cover like her part of the house?
Well, exactly. And at the time, this was like right around 2008. The real estate market had not tanked yet. It was at its absolute peak. So what we did is we got the house appraised, figured out the profit, divided that by 2. It was a disgustingly high amount of money. And I had to write her that check. And then the real estate market plummeted, and I lost.
It should have been contingent upon the sale of the
that's
house.
so unfair.
Well, I stayed in the house,
Yeah, he wanted to stay.
and I fought over the house and the dog, and then we ended up sharing custody of the dog.
How does that work?
It
You
was
drop
fine
it off
at the
and
time
just go back and forth.
because we were both living very close to each other, so it was just like week on, week off, week on, week off. That was easy.
And do you still have any correspondence with her in any
Not
way?
anymore. We did for many years, and then no longer.
No mas.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a
yeah,
good thing.
overall, it's working.
No, that's a
working
good thing.
out. Yeah.
Because Greg has a tendency to be taken advantage of,
Oh, babe.
you know, and he doesn't see it right away. You know, and
That's
so
true.
like it takes him along because he feels bad.
Yeah.
And so like it's a really good thing that it's just all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. There's no reason for it. Same
Yeah.
thing. Like
It's really not.
I was still paying the alimony to my ex when Jen and I got together,
Wow.
and she hated that I'm still writing this check. She
Oh,
goes,
I feel that.
Yeah.
she goes, "Can you just do me a favor?" She goes, "Just write one check and be
Get
done.
it over
Like
with.
however many is left, just write one and just be done with it. Like
just make it
No, it's
easy.
smart. Then you don't have to
Make
keep
it
worrying
easy for
about
me.
it.
Yeah.
Part with a lot of money.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do me a favor.
So I don't have to see
Right.
you writing checks.
Fucking check.
But I understood it because I was done with it too. I'm like, oh, you know what? Not bad. It's like people get. I'm so close to paying off my car.
Yeah.
I'm so close to paying off this credit card.
Sweet freedom.
Yeah, and man, if you can do it, even though it's a big check, and Greg hates those.
Oh God.
Like when you write a check like that,
It's
it's
painful.
painful.
It's physically
hurts.
painful. Yeah.
It's a lot
It
easier
sucks.
with automatic bill pay and
Yep.
Zelle
You
and
don't
things
see
like
it.
that. 'Cause, yeah, whatever. But on something like that, I wrote this one check. I think it covered like 4 or 5 more months. But then it was done. The idea of like that part of my life and that whole thing would be over was great.
How do we get in this situation with again no kids in either of these two scenarios?
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Still
so
simply marrying somebody and being of a certain gender means thousands of
I'm
dollars.
with you.
Right.
It's not the gender though; it's who makes more money, which that usually follows
yes.
the same.
Which is I as a feminist I hate.
So
Agreed.
this is what I did when I knew that I was getting or it was contemplating the divorce. I looked up who are the top family law attorneys in the city of Chicago, and I took the top 10. I called the first 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did a quote consultation
Tony Soprano over here, poison the well.
because once you're in for a consultation,
Oh.
The other one can't.
that's right, it locks her out of the top 6 family law attorneys in the city.
That is-
Interesting.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm going to use this word correctly. That is diabolical.
It is.
That is good.
It is. But I did it, as a way to protect myself because her
You're
mom
smart.
is nuts. And her mom was always yelling at me about, like, why is she still working? She should just be home. Why don't you have kids? Why? Like, what do you... Go away.
Yeah,
And so I
please.
figured, like, man, her mom was so easily influenced, or she was so easily influenced by her mom. So I was more...
That's smart.
I was more concerned about the mother-in-law than I was her.
I buy that.
And because everything else was worked out very simple. So when I went into these consultations, I said, hey, here's the situation. What do you think if we go to court? What am I on the hook for? And they gave me an idea of what I might be on the hook for. So I took all that stuff. I averaged it out. I gave her a little bit more than what she would get otherwise. So I can go to her and go, look, I will give you,
This is a good deal.
Let's work this out
take it.
amicably.
Yeah.
I will move you back. In fact, I paid for the deposit and the first couple months of her rent on her new apartment.
And you say Greg gets taken advantage of?
Oh,
No. Because I wanted it to be over with, and because I figured I'm going to save myself a bunch of lawyer fees.
True.
Right?
That's actually very true.
It's cheaper to do the deposit on the new apartment and
you're
a couple
right.
months rent at the time than it would have been to get the attorney and go
Tens
through
of
things and fight over these
thousands of
little things.
dollars.
I did like, there's nothing to argue about.
Yeah.
I
We're
wish
both,
it was tens.
Yeah.
we're both amicable here, right? So I this is what I did. I said, hey, I've done some consulting. I talked to a couple of family law attorneys. This is what you would most likely be awarded in the court. I said, so this is what I'm going to give you, plus all these things. I'm going to move all this stuff to Portland for you. I'm going to get you your apartment and your first couple months rent. And let's just agree that we're going to be cool about this and not make this a big pain in the ass when it doesn't need to be. And she agreed. And she held up her end.
Thank
I held
God.
up my end. And it was great. But yeah, I do recommend, like, take the consultation with, like, the top attorneys in whatever,
Yeah.
and it locks them out.
Mine
That's
was
so
so
crazy.
easy. I went to this public place called We the People.
Oh,
And
yeah. Those are like
I've
do it
heard of that.
yourself.
You heard,
Yeah.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
kind of guide you along. I think I filled out a form or two, and then boom, it was done. Like
Yeah.
the actual act of it was easy.
Wow.
The money
You
part,
don't hear that very often.
And it
cut
sucks.
my life short.
Yeah, it still sucks. I was bummed,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's sad.
But look what you have now.
But I did
perfect
institute
girl.
my own rule at that point. Like, we had been together for 8 years. I think I was about a week, and then I was like, all right, moving on.
So is
like
it a day, a year a day?
Yes, you get 1 day to feel really terrible and sad and sorry for yourself for every year you've been together. If you've been together if you've been together for less than a year, you can round it up to 1 day, and then
That's
you got to
nice.
move
Wow.
on.
And you know what else helps with that is going through a hardcore whore phase.
Oh, sure.
yeah.
I don't think anyone's going
You
to.
just whore it up.
Yeah, no
Well, they
one's
say
gonna
you have to
argue
get
with
under
that.
to get over.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not the end of the world. Everybody acts like, divorce, and it's more difficult, obviously, with kids and things like that. But just in general, if you're not happy, you move on, and don't get married too young. Don't get married too quickly. Like, there's just certain things that sometimes you get really excited about a relationship,
Yeah.
and you want to move things on. That relationship will still be there if it's the right thing.
True.
There's no reason to rush it.
Yeah.
You're not getting married yet, are you?
Oh God,
You've
no.
been together for what, 4 months? 3
yeah,
months?
almost 3, I think, or 4,
Oh,
something,
damn.
which is like crazy. But yeah, no.
Wow, girl.
But I'm not a fan of marriage, and I think you could be happy boyfriend girlfriend forever.
Yeah, you can.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
why
But
involve the government?
Still have like a ceremony in Cabo though.
A party.
Oh,
Get
yeah,
those
exactly.
gifts,
I want
man.
to go.
Duh.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. More Woody shows next. Hang on.
The Woody Show will be right back.
That's all I needed to hear.
It's finally here.